So these coffees were grown at a very high altitude, which means that the beans are very dense. So when we grind it, it produces a lot of small particles, also called fines. So to get the best of these very dense coffees, I chose to use a new generation grinder. Thanks to its high quality burset, it helps me to create a grind size without too much fines in the cup. This helps me to bring a lot more clarity and a long-lasting finish. Now, as you can see, I'm also using a WDT tool in order to mix my ground coffee and break any clumps. In the Ibrik, this will trigger a faster and more consistent water to coffee saturation for a more even extraction and a higher perceived sweetness throughout your cup experience. After many trials with these coffees, I came up with a unique recipe. And I will use the same for both of my courses today. So I'm using 5 grams of Mikava Geisha and 3 grams of Bombay Village. So a total of 8 grams of coffee for 70 grams of water. With this ratio, I came to realize that the acidity of the Mikava feels fully integrated into the sweetness of the heirloom to achieve a perfectly balanced blend. My target extraction time will be between 1 minute 30 and 2 minutes 30, as I came to realize that this is the perfect tempo for both the geisha and the heirloom to work in symphony. Now, as for my water, I came up with a unique water recipe to reach 150 ppm. It is made with 1 part of calcium, 1 part of magnesium to highlight the fruitiness of both coffees, and 3 parts of sodium bicarbonate to control the acidity of the Mikava and echo the smoothness of the Bombay. As for my roasting, I roasted both coffees separately on a sample air roaster, the Bombay 4 days ago, and the Mikava 3 days ago, and I came to realize that both have a different freshness peak. Then I blended it to achieve an harmonious and vibrant cup. Now, as I'm about to pour your simple Cezve in front of you, I would like you to please wait for my call before tasting it, and you may, of course, evaluate the crema. There we are. All right, so we still have a couple of minutes before your coffee is ready to enjoy. So meanwhile, let's move forward to your signature Cezve recipe. For this, I'm relying on the sand heater to keep the tradition alive, but also because it helps me to tweak my recipe in order to better suit my signature Cezve. So, combined with the 60 degrees water temperature, I can reach consistently my target extraction time and increase the acidity in my coffee that will perfectly vivify my signature drink. This time, I chose to use the EK43 because I want to take the advantage of all that sweetness from the larger amount of fines that it generates. I will then filter it over a high-quality paper filter in order to remove all the coffee grounds and bring clarity to the drink. Now, back to your simple Cezve. Would you please write down, for the taste balance, you'll find a medium sweetness, a medium acidity, and a pleasant medium-low bitterness. For the tactile, you'll have a medium weight with a silky mouthfeel. and a long-lasting finish. When warm, the finish reminds me of a strawberry and caramel candy. For the flavors, you'll find notes of lavender, blood orange, and a hint of apricots. As the coffee is warm, this was for the hot stage, as the coffee is warm, you'll find strawberry, caramel, and a hint of vanilla. Now, as your coffee is almost ready to assess, I would like to add an extra twist. I believe that by gently removing parts of your cup's crema, I can increase the tactile quality of your first sips. And I will of course do it for you, as I want you to get that beautiful texture that I adore. May I? Thank you. May I? Thank you. You may now enjoy your simple Cezve as it's hot. Please enjoy. All right, back with me? Great. And please remember, wait for my call to taste it when warm. I will let you know. So as a barista, I am a storyteller, which means I believe it is my role to embrace what's behind the cup and deliver it to my guest in the most tasteful, meaningful, and pleasant way. And what's better to do this than a cocktail? So my first ingredient echoes the fermentation work achieved at origin. And first, in Ethiopia. Shashamo and Asefa, the producers, placed their cherries in anaerobic condition for 96 hours in order to intensify the complexity of their coffee. So I reproduced this condition by placing 1 part of Bombay with 1 part of its own cascara, 2 parts of sugar, on which I will add 1 part of water. And I will let this macerate for 96 hours. This is the backbone of my cocktail, a foundation of sweetness and complexity that will remind you of the Bombay richness. Then, to echo the floral attributes of the Mikala, Paul Doyle processed his geisha through an carbonic maceration, which highlighted the red fruit flavors in his coffee. So to pay tribute to its lively acidity, I infused 1 part of fresh strawberries with 1 part of a high-quality French vodka. The freshness of this infusion will sustain the sweetness of the drink, and supported by a hint of alcohol, it will help to have this beautiful and stunning aftertaste. I then mixed these 2 ingredients, let it macerate for 1 day, filter it, and I obtain this coffee liqueur, a perfect synergy between Mikala and Bombay. I add 30 ml of it per drink. Combined with my cocktail, it will create a new note of violet candy and mango. You may now enjoy your coffee as it's warm. Please enjoy. All right, back with me? Great. So in order to achieve the perfect synergy between all these, I needed one last ingredient. This represents the barista's work in its ability to connect the stories to the cup through a perfectly balanced drink. So for this, to symbolize, I'm adding 1 gram of a lacto-fermented apricot juice, which I made by letting fresh apricots for 5 days with 3% of salt. This beautiful ingredient will create synergy and contribute in the cup to a taste note of nectarine. I can finally add my filtrated Ibrik, 50 gram per drink. To enhance a perfect tactile sensation and the coffee taste up front, I placed below your dripper a chilled rock in order to decrease by 10 degrees Celsius the temperature of my coffee to avoid too much water dilution as I'm about to shake this cocktail on ice. Time for a little bit of noise. All right, so I'm about to serve you a cold, refreshing drink in a martini glass with a tight edge in order to increase the fluffy mouthfeel during the first sip. Now, once again, would you please write down for the signature drink? You'll find a taste balance with a medium high sweetness, a medium acidity, and a pleasant low bitterness. For the flavors, you'll find notes of nectarine, violet candy, mango, and cherry. There we are. Great. I feel really privileged to be here with you today, and I'm very happy I could make these drinks, as I believe it truly represents the way I want to see and serve specialty coffee. I think that if we connect more the stories from the cup, from the stories to the cup, we can enhance our sensory experience and bridge our industry with knowledge and meaning. I thank you very much for your attention. Please enjoy. Please enjoy. Time.
Time called. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Pierre de Chantérac.